Welcome to the Week 3 battle of your band of the Hawluchas. My name's Chase, aka Chase Talks, and this week we're facing off against the Houston Tynamos. Now, as always, there is a timestamp that you can click in the description that will skip by the team builder if you don't want to watch it. So, jumping right into it, in case you can't remember our team, I'll throw it up for you for a second. And running down our opponent's team, they got the Mega Charizard Y, the Mew, Lucario, Umbreon, Roserade, Drampa, Cryogonal, Sylveon, Vaporeon, Alolan Raichu, Meloetta, and the Normalium Z. Now, going into this match, I was really worried about the Mega Charizard Y. I thought the Mew, especially because Mew can run so many different sets. It can run bulky, specially offensive, physically offensive. There's always the Roost stall set that a lot of people like to use. There's so many sets, so I was worried about what Mew he was going to bring. And I also was worried about his three evolutions, the Umbreon, Sylveon, and Vaporeon. There's a lot of EV there, and each of those mons are more stally than the next. And of course, Normalium Z gives you so many setup options. He could even use the Normalium Z on his Meloetta to fire off a powerful Hyper Voice, so I was worried about that too. So the first Pokemon I decided to bring this week is our specially defensive Wall, our Green Ranger. I decided to go max special defense with the Assault Vest, and then enough HP odd with the last 8 points in our special attack, Sludge Bomb, Giga Drain, Knockoff, and the HP Rock for that Mega Charizard. If I can predict a Mega Charizard switch in, I can hit it with the HP Rock. It's going to do a lot of damage to it because it's 4 times effective. The next Pokemon we're bringing this week is our Purple Ranger, our physically defensive Wall. It has got a Rocky Helmet this week, especially with how many physical threats he can have. Just that extra chip damage will really wear off against him, especially if he decides to go with the fighting side of the Meloetta rather than the special side of it. Scald, Toxic Wish, Protect, with the 4 extra points, of course, in special defense and special attack. And our next Pokemon this week is our Mamoswine Guts with the Life Orb, Thick Fat, Icicle Crash, Ice Shard, Stone Edge, Iron Head. I was originally thinking about ringing the Scarfed. I decided to ditch it out and go max HP, or just a little bit under max, to make the HP stat odd with a Life Orb instead to kind of take those hits better and to just fire back. I really wanted to run the priority on this thing so it can have the ability to kind of clean up at the end, and also the Thick Fat to live a hit from the Mega Charizard and hit it back hard with the Stone Edge if he does decide to bring it. Our next Pokemon this week is the Steelix, our Rolex, with the leftovers, Sheer Force again, Heavy Slam, Ice Fang, Rock Slide, and Stealth Rocks. I decided to bring leftovers this week instead of the Assault Vest because I really thought Stealth Rocks was going to do damage against his team. Especially if Mega Charizard would switch into that would take 50% damage right off the bat. So getting rocks up on our team is definitely going to help us a lot. I got max attack, 8 points in special defense with with enough HP to make it odd. So our next Pokemon is going to be our Victor, Choice Scarfed again with V-Create, Bolt Strike, Zen, Headbutt, and U-Turn. I've been bringing this Pokemon a lot. So I think it's going to start to get predictable because I've been bringing the same set, which I don't usually do. I usually bring a bunch of different Victini sets. But in the last couple times I brought it, the Choice Scarf Victini has just worked so well. So I do got to be careful that I don't become too predictable with this Victini, but this Victini has a lot of potential to put in some good work against his team. It has coverage, hit everything on his team, it hit everything on his team hard. And our last Pokemon this week is our Nightwing. I decided to bring it Choice Banded. This week with the Brave Bird, Cross Poison, Leech Life, and Defog. The reason I decided to bring Leech Life on it was because if I could predict him switching into Umbreon and Leech Life it and grab some HP back from my Brave Bird spam, I thought that would be really useful. It's got enough speed to outspeed everything on his team, unless there's a Scarfer, of course. So Crobat really has the potential to put in a lot of work in this game. So there's our team, and let's hop into the battle. I am commentating this after I played it, and looking at the team we decided to bring, I found out that he's very Victini weak. The only thing that really wants to take anything from Victini is Vaporeon. So I'm just going to go for a V-Crate right now, and he does decide to switch into the Vaporeon. Since I am Scarfed, I figured if I would outspeed the Alolan Raichu, and I could take it out first turn, I knew a V-Crate would kill it. That'd be awesome. So, It does turn out to be Scarf because it did outspeed me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and switch out. I take the Volt Switch. I'm gonna switch out into my Tangrowth. So he's gonna decide to switch out. He doesn't want to take anything from the Tangrowth, and he goes into his Cryogonal. I don't know why I couldn't remember that Pokemon's name for a second, to take a knockoff, and I do remove its Assault Vest, which is really good. Now I didn't want to take anything from that, so I did decide to switch into my Mamoswine because I knew I had the Iron Head and be able to take it out, so I do just take that out right there. Now he's going to decide to go right into his Vaporeon to fire off a Scald at me. I don't want to take that Scald, so I'm going to switch right into my Tangrowth. I kind of still have my PTSD from last match where I got Scald burned right away, so I didn't want that to happen. He's going to switch into his Lucario, and I'm going to pop its Air Balloon, which is really good that I got that knockoff off and popped off its Air Balloon. I was just going to get rid of Vaporeon's leftovers, but an Air Balloon is even better. So now it can't dodge the Earthquake from either my Steelix or that. Now I am going to switch into my Hawluchas because I thought it was going to be a physical set. It ends up being a special set, so now I'm going to swap out again into the Victini to take that Flash Cannon after I bash the Wish to myself. Get my Victini back to full health. So I'm going to go for a Bolt Strike here, and I do get the paralysis on the Bolt Strike, which is huge. So I'm going to take it out next turn anyway after it goes for a Vacuum Wave. That does no damage because I resist that nicely, and the Bolt Strike's going to take it out. But that was really big, getting that paralysis. It had the ability to, if he decided to save it, that could have really done some damage. So I am going to switch out. I know Alolan Raichu outspeeds me. I don't want to take another Volt Switch. It did a good amount of damage last time. So I'm going to switch into my Specially Defensive Tangrowth, take that as he switches into his Sylveon. So I'm going to stay in, go for a knockoff. I want to get rid of this thing's choice specs that I figured it had, and it did actually have the choice specs. So I did feel like I made the right choice there. I'm going to switch into my Rolex here, thinking that he was going to go for Hyper Voice. He does decide to go for Shadow Ball, and I'm going to take a good amount of damage from that, but I'm going to stay in, and I am going to go for the Heavy Slam. He switches into his Vaporeon, which takes that really nicely. There's nothing that my Steelix can really do against this Vaporeon. I don't want to lose it this early, so I'm going to swap right into my Alola as he Baton Passes. He's going to Baton Pass into his Alolan Raichu. This is a bad matchup for me, so I'm going to switch right into my Green Ranger to take that Thunderbolt. Resist it, does not very much damage. So he's going to switch out here and go into his Sylveon. I predict that, and I go for Sludge Bomb. He's going to go for Hyper Voice. Since I know he doesn't have choice specs anymore, I decide to stay in and go for another Sludge Bomb. I know that one more Sludge Bomb could kill it, but I am going to decide to switch out and get that extra Regenerator health and take the Hyper Voice with my Rolex. I know I would resist that, so I would tank that rather nicely. He could have probably gone for a Shadow Ball there and killed me, but I am going to go for the Stealth Rocks. I was assuming that he was going to kill me there, but he does decide to switch out and preserve his Sylveon. So I get those Stealth Rocks up, which is good. His only form of hazard removal is already dead in his Cryogonal. I do switch into Crobat here, and he is going to set up a Wish. I'm going to go ahead and go for the Leech Life here because I predicted him to switch out and pass the Wish into something, which he does not do. He stays in, and I take a good chunk from Scald there. I don't want to take another Scald, so I'm going to switch into Tangrowth as he goes for another Wish. So here, I was kind of between. I really thought he was going to Baton Pass. I was really between knocking off or Giga Drain. I do decide to go for the Giga Drain in case he decided to stay in for any reason. Though my knockoff was probably the safer play there, and I would have done a huge chunk to that. But I would have gotten hilled by the Wish anyway, so it's not as big a deal. But I would have done a lot more damage. So I do switch into my Steelix just to kind of see what this thing wants to do. It turns out that it's a Pirouette physical set. I'm just going to sack off my Steelix here. I don't want to switch anything into a close combat. That close combat was going to do a ton of damage to me, and I didn't want to take it. So I'm going to switch into my Crobat here, which is Miss-EV'd. So it was a totally misplay on my part, because I did not EV to outspeed his Meloetta. So I just went for Brave Bird there. I was like, as soon as I looked at the speed tiers after I switched, I was like, oh no, I don't outspeed it. So I just went for a Brave Bird. I hit the Vaporeon, then I go for another one to take out his Vaporeon. He decides to go into his Alolan Raichu and sack it off with the Brave Bird. Now he's going to go into his Vaporeon. I'm going to go for another Brave Bird because I know it's in range, and out of a misplay, I end up picking up 2 kills. And I died on my recoil damage, which is okay, but I did not expect to pick up those 2 kills off of that misplay. That was crazy. He's going to switch into his Sylveon right here. I know I can take it out with a Sludge Bomb, especially after rocks damage. It was already in range before the rocks, but I know after the rocks I can definitely take it out. So here, he's going to switch into his Meloetta. I know it's going to have to shift form, so I'm going to go for a knockoff here to just get rid of whatever item it has. And it turns out that it actually has the Normalium Z, because that knockoff does not do any damage to it at all. So I'm going to switch into my physically defensive wall here. I was expecting him to use a Z move, and it turns out to be Z workup. That's going to give him a +2 in attack and a +1 in special attack. I'm still going to take that return because I got the max physical defense, not special defense, and I'm going to go for a poison here. Now I am going to go for a protect on this next turn. I know that I'm not going to get any healed up, but I just wanted him to get a little bit more toxic damage. I don't want to get swept by this thing. I want it to be in range of either Victini or Mamoswine's Ice Shard. So after the Rocky Helmet damage and after the poison, these are definitely in range for either of those. I'm just going to go into Victini. I'm going to give Victini this last kill. Because it is the kill leader on our team and it is in range to be one of the kill leaders in the league overall. So I wanted to give Victini that last kill, and we pick ourselves up a W against the Houston Tynamos. GG to my opponent. That was a really nice game. I was happy to bounce back after our loss week 2. And yeah. And if you guys like this video, make sure to rate the video, comment the video, and subscribe if you never want to miss another episode of Chase Talks. Until next time, this is Chase signing off.